the Kokua Council's 2020 Honolulu Mayoral Candidates Forum. I'm Lila Moore, President of the Kokua Council and your host. Mahalo to my valued colleagues for their logistical support, especially Doug Matsuoka, Loida Scheibert, and Rick Tabor. Mahalo to Kokua Council's members and friends who are watching through Zoom or Facebook. You suggested questions for this forum, and we'll ask as many of those questions as time allows. For most of you, this program will be in a watch and listen only mode. Everyone will be muted except for the moderators. Each candidate will be unmuted when it is their turn to speak. The Kokua Council is one of Hawaii's oldest advocacy organizations. We engage those who are interested in shaping the future and the well-being of our community. As examples, in March, more than 2 weeks before Governor Ige issued stay-at-home orders, the Kokua Council held a press conference. We requested our local governments to address the pandemic and reveal their plans for seniors. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green and many other advocates for older adults participated in that conference. A month ago, with worldwide news that residents of nursing homes and long-term care facilities were among the most susceptible to COVID-19, the Kokua Council held a public conference with Hawaii's long-term care ombudsman, John McDermott. Ombudsmen from the neighbor islands also joined in, and all voiced their concerns about the vulnerability of local care home residents and their caregivers. This is perhaps the most unusual year in all our lives. One day we'll look back at this year with 2020 hindsight, with wisdom born of experiences both good and bad. For those of us with impaired vision, the numbers 2020, rather than being associated with hindsight, have another significance. 2020 is an aspiration for improved vision, for clarity, for keen sight. So that's the perspective we're taking today. Today, we ask candidates to forego hindsight and criticism. Today, we challenge the candidates to look ahead with clarity and focus and share their visions with sincerity, specifics, and substance. All known Honolulu mayoral candidates as of May 22nd were invited to participate in this forum. The order in which the candidates will speak was randomly determined in advance. There will be audible warnings to let the speaker know when it is time to wrap up. In the first round, the warnings will come at 30 seconds and 15 seconds before the allotted time expires. With all other rounds, there will only be a 15-second warning. Then, although we don't want to be rude, but to be fair to all, when the allotted time expires, the candidate will be muted and the next candidate will be unmuted. So let us begin this forum with the first rotation. We will hear from each candidate. In 3 minutes, please tell us who you are and why you think you should be mayor. This first rotation starts with Rick Blangiardi. Can you unmute Rick, please?
Can I ask you just one more time to go to Facebook Live? I'll unmute Rick.
You want me to go to Facebook Live?
Rick is unmuted. Would you like him to start?
Go ahead, start? Yeah, okay, thank you, Rick. Well, aloha. Aloha. You know, I've always liked the adage, your future is written in your past. So we're here today to discuss what each of us will do in serious matters related to our collective future. In that context, please allow me to briefly share a little of my past with you and why I am here today as a mayoral candidate. Now, I came to Hawaii in the summer of 1965 and enrolled at UH intent on playing football for the university. I then coached football for 5 seasons at the University of Hawaii while earning my master's degree. Now, college football coaches were not paid very well in those years. and out of economic necessity, I took a sales job in 1977 at KGMB. And I'm very proud of my 43-year career in media, and especially the privilege I had for 30 years in serving the people of Hawaii. I retired this past January from Hawaii News Now to run for mayor of the city and county of Honolulu. Now, I believe there has never been a time in Hawaii's history where there are so many major issues and tough problems confronting our community. And I strongly believe anyone seeking to become mayor must have exceptional leadership ability and an ability to build trust with our people. Now, I have extensive and diverse experience in leading large, complex organizations and making them successful. And my proven ability to do just that is what sets me apart from the other candidates. Just 7 months from now, we'll have a new mayor who will be stepping into office during unprecedented times. Our economy will have to be rebuilt. Our city budget will have to be balanced, and while still addressing the many needs of our community. You know, it's difficult, if not impossible, to say today what the exact issues will be facing our next mayor. But one thing we can all be sure of, we must get our community back to where we want it to be, with our people back to work and our families doing well again. Now, I have hard-earned credibility with our business community and numerous nonprofit agencies, and I believe I can bring them all to the table. I am committed to serving the people of our island with an established track record of working with others for the common good. And I want to make it very clear, I am not building a political career. Our economy is rapidly shifting, and I fear, as of today, it is likely to get worse before it gets better. Now, my life's work has proven time and again that I am capable of leading in tough situations and taking bold and decisive action when needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Pine, you're next.
Aloha, and thank you so much to the Kokua Council for inviting all of the candidates here today. First, I want to let you know that I will not be reading from cue cards or from a script. I will be speaking to you from my heart and the knowledge that I've had for the many years that I've been working for all of you in the City Council. I am honored to have our first discussion with the Kokua Council, a group of leaders who have for decades fought like I have for the common person who's often been left behind by government because they don't have expensive lobbyists lobbying for them in government. The Kokua Council is just like me, how I started my career. It was that grandpa who just wanted that stop sign for his grandkids because people were speeding. It was for the elderly man who, for his grandson, just wanted his disabled grandson to have a decent education. And it was for that dad that said, Kim, I just want more time with my family. Please help me to get to work faster on the roads. These people never had a high-paid lobbyist, but they had me fighting for them. So being here today with all of you, I am honored because you are all soldiers for the people. I am especially excited today to hear from my fellow candidates for mayor because you see, I'm the only candidate running that's actually in the arena right now, having to make tough, bold, strong decisions every day to handle this crisis, to keep all of you safe. I haven't heard from any of them about the solutions they're going to provide for our city to help all of you. But I welcome their ideas today because whatever happens in this election, I'm still going to be fighting for you as a city council member. I still have to make the tough, bold, strong, difficult decisions to manage the most difficult time in our history, the largest budget deficit we have ever seen. I am encouraged by their participation today. I'm honored they're honoring all of you to risk everything to try to fight for this position because it is the most important position on this island today. I welcome their input and I will use their ideas and the things that I will be doing every day as a city council member if they're good ideas. I'm excited to be with all of you today and with all of everyone else. And I wish everybody good luck and mahalo.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next is Keith Amamiya.
Can you hear me, Lila?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Keith.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Lila. I'm running for mayor because we need change. We need new leadership, a fresh perspective, and we need to restore trust in government. COVID-19 is an unprecedented situation, so the same people and the same political experience simply won't work. Instead, we'll need a new style of leadership that brings people together. Something that hasn't existed in politics for a long time.
Oh, Keith, just one moment. I'm sorry. Something happened to your volume.
Your microphone has disappeared.
Oh,
There you are.
what happened?
You're
I
good
don't-
now.
Oh,
Can you start all over? Not all over again, but pick up where you stopped?
I don't, when did you stop hearing me?
About unprecedented times? Start around there.
Okay, can you hear me okay, Lila?
Yes, thank you. I don't know what happened.
Okay. COVID-19 is an unprecedented situation, so the same people and the same style of political experience simply won't work. Instead, we'll need a new style of leadership that brings people together, something that hasn't existed in Hawaii politics for a long time. I was born and raised in Oahu, and I've lived here my entire life. Hawaii is my home, and I want to keep it the special place that it is for many generations to come. When I was a teenager, my best friend's family hanai'd or adopted me when I was having trouble at my own home. It was there that I was taught the values of love, compassion, generosity, selflessness, and the act of paying it forward. And that is the main reason why I'm running for mayor today. When I headed the Hawaii High School Athletic Association, I had the opportunity to visit every community in the state and got to know them well, especially working class families. I developed a tremendous respect for all of them and for all that they did to provide for their families. But I also felt compassion for their struggles to make ends meet. I developed some sadness and even anger because many of them had to choose between paying rent or putting food on the table, buying shoes for their children, or putting gas in their gas tank, or even deciding whether to struggle and stay here or reluctantly move away to the mainland. Our families deserve better. They deserve housing they can afford, a good job, and the ability to live beyond paycheck to paycheck. I'm a first-time candidate, but I have extensive executive leadership experience in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. When the state was in a budget crisis nearly 10 years ago and instituted furlough Fridays, they threatened to cut high school sports. I took action and rallied communities from across the state to raise enough funds to save these sports programs. During the current COVID crisis, my campaign has provided over 12,000 meals to low-income children, seniors, and domestic violence survivors and their children across Oahu. This election is not about you. It's not about me. It's about we. Here in Hawaii, we share a bond and love for each other that doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet. And we've proven time and again that when we work together, we can accomplish anything. As your mayor, I promise to give you my heart and soul to make Oahu and all of you the very best that you can be, both now and for many years to come. Mahalo.
Thank you, Keith. John Carroll. Where is John Carroll?
I am here. Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh,
But I can speak without seeing you if you would.
that's right. If you don't, we can see you, John.
I'm sorry?
We can see you.
Okay, good. I'll go ahead. Well, first of all, my name is John Carroll, and I'm running for mayor of the city and county of Honolulu. And I'm running as not just another pretty face. I've grown a number of times before. I have watched the deterioration of this state since 58 and 59. I came here in 1959, got a football scholarship, and worked a number of things here as a truck driver and radio announcer and professional diver, things of that sort. I went into the Army after graduating, or before graduating from the University of Hawaii, went to Korea, came back, finished my college degree, Bachelor of Education. Then from there went into jet fighter training for the Air Force and Hawaii Air National Guard. I came back and I completed a 34-year military career about 1958. But anyway, 34 years of the military experience. The last years were as this Joint Staff Judge Advocate General for both the National Guard. In addition to that, I served in the State House of Representatives for 4 years, or 4 terms, 1 term in the State Senate, and that was a little separate career of 10 years. I also have been in international business over the past 50 years. I've also practiced law until about 2 years ago. And I'm now looking back on everything, and I have been incredibly blessed for the life that I've had. I also got 32 years flying as a pilot for Hawaiian Airlines. So my life is unbelievable. But this job needs somebody who's qualified. We've had terrible leadership from the Democrat and the Republican Party over the past 30 years. At this time, we're in debt because of the rail as well as other things. We have more money owed if we're going to finish this rail. We have so many things that are before us right now that need to be changed, and I have the ability and the background, the desire to do this. I know the question of age will come up, and I can assure you that I'm old enough to run. So that's a joke. But anyway, this background is what really gives me the experience to come in and get done what needs to get done. And one of the first things we need to do is look at our total economy. Why are we 35% higher cost of living in any state in the union? One thing is because of the violate the Commerce Clause, and Hawaiian citizens are paying for it. And that's one of the main reasons. But anyway, I will do my very best. Mahalo, aloha.
Thank you, John. June James, you're up next.
For hosting us. I will be reading. I wrote my script myself. I'm Chun James, originally from Singapore. I have been a small business woman for over 30 years. I'm a mother of 5 successful public school graduates and 12 grandchildren. My professor husband and I have been married for 40 years. I've served on hospital, alumni, community association, land use advisory, affordable housing, international women organizations, and as board member or president. We also farm, and I also volunteer for Olelo to protect free speech and free press. And I have been advocating for decades at City Hall for good governance, ethics, transparency, keep the country, save Oahu farmlands, keeping public lands in public hands, and of course, fiscal accountability and so on. For the past 12 years, I have been particularly involved at City Hall, expressing concerns that you and I care about, including the runaway rail. But it seems like nobody listens to us. I've advocated for putting a cap on property taxes for our owner-occupant. Our kupuna who have lived in their homes for more than 20 years, they are worried that they may be priced out of their home. They're worried that their children may not be able to stay, and they're worried that they may not be able to age in place. And so many of our young couples and young people are working 2 to 3 jobs. And even our seniors have to retire, postpone their retirement just to survive. Honolulu has been mismanaged and neglected. It is embarrassing. Our streets are dirty, our public restrooms stink, but the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. And the politicians who had their chance are now campaigning on change. The same politicians and insiders who have controlled and profited from their position and connections are now telling us they care for us and they want to direct our future. I don't buy this political stagecraft. I've grown older and a little wiser. I've come to realize that the only change that will come is if we, you and I, get inside City Hall and take the government back. We are the alternatives. We are the change. We do not accept donations from lobbyists and PAC, and we don't owe any favors to anyone. We have to be the one to protect ourselves. Insanity is voting the same old insiders in and expecting a different result. Mahalo.
Thank you, June. Tim, Garry, you're next. Let me unmute you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Aloha and good afternoon. My name's Tim Garry. Thank you for providing a forum to express our ideas and proposals in this historic time. The bandage has been pulled off and it has exposed the lack of foresight and prudent behavior of our leaders. I recommend that they read Dave Ramsey's book, The Total Money Makeover. Our addiction to tourism has shown not to be a balanced approach. What position would we be in if a Cat 5 hurricane hit? No tourists, no infrastructure, no power, water, or food. Can you imagine? Many of our leaders want to enlarge our economy and population, some to expand their tax revenues and their power. I don't know if that is the consensus of the voters. Maybe look at downsizing and diversifying. How about persuading Big Pharma to relocate to Oahu from communist China? Good paying jobs. Let's seek out the imagination of many and have an honest discussion of those ideas. Have you noticed that many of our leaders overpromise and underdeliver? A few examples: rail, homeless, or mentally ill, and our new number one, the unemployment office. I promise to be transparent, to hold projects accountable, to be on time and at budget. In the city-county budget, 20% is for debt payments, past and present. Overpromise, borrow, and underdeliver, over and over again. We can and we must do better. I'm sure of it. We are in dire need of a strong media with an adversarial posture to all of those that are in power. I've seen collusion between some in the media and our local officials. They can, and we need them to do a better job. In the past 2 decades, I have spent hundreds of hours at meetings of Hawaii Public Housing, the Honolulu Ethics Commission, neighborhood board meetings, and city council meetings. I'm a strong believer in public service. There's not much confidence from the public in our current lifelong politicians. That's why, if I'm elected, I'll serve only 1 term, and I'll donate my salary to charity. After all, it's called public service. God bless you in these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Mr. Cavallo, you're next. I'm trying, oh, there you are, Ernest.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Aloha mai kakoa, everyone, and mahalo Kokua Council for bringing us all together in this forum. And as everyone has already touched about, we do live in extreme times. But more than that, we should have seen this coming a long time ago. We should have had foresight, something that we lack in the state of Hawaii and in Honolulu is vision. We seem to want to just go ahead and band-aid every situation, and we cannot do that. We got to do better than that for our people. I was born and raised here in Kalihi. I grew up in Kalihi, and I still live in the same zip code, 96817, and I love it. I'm a member of Chinatown Lions Club, where I'm the second vice president for the Lions Club. I am a former vice chair for Neighborhood Board 13, and I'm still chair for House District 29 for the Democratic Party. So I believe in being active, and I am very active in our community. And what I've seen a lot lately is a neglect that we have towards our houselessness, the people that we should be caring about. But we neglect them, and somehow we keep on recycling them by putting people back into jail and letting them out 24, 25 hours later. They go back on the street, and then we do the same thing again. We're not focusing on real issues that affect our people of Hawaii. We need to be concentrating on building our infrastructure. We need an internet infrastructure going, Wi-Fi, an internet Wi-Fi infrastructure going on. We need to be working at home, letting our people work at home. We need to concentrate on our Kanaka Maolis. No one has talked about our Kanaka Maolis. They're the ones that are hurting the most. They're the ones that are in jail, about 60% of them. What are we doing to help them out? No one has a vision that's going to bring everyone together. And I have a vision of bringing all of us together. Not just one culture, but all cultures, because there's all these cultures in Hawaii that have made us who we are today. We are the mixed plate generation here, and that's what I call us, because we're all mixed. I have cousins and nieces, nephews from every single race, from Japanese, Chinese, Hawaiian, Samoan, you name it, I've got it all. But unless we, as a people, come together and solve the issues of the Kanaka Maoli, we in Honolulu can never move forward, because there's going to be a clash that's going to continue to happen. So we have to come forward together to move forward as a group. So I would bring in Kanaka Maolis into my administration to be there, to have a decision in what's going on. Because without that, then Honolulu will still be playing the same game. We'll be with the same politics, same business as usual. So what we need to do is we need to look towards our future, not 5, 10 years, but 100 years into our future. And let us move forward. Once again, my name is Ernest Cavallo, and I believe I am the best person at this time to move us forward into the future of Hawaii and Honolulu.
Thank you, Ernest.
Thank you. Let me point something out. We are live to Facebook, but we're live to Lila's page and not the Kokua Council's page. So, and that will, it'll also automatically record. So I'm not too sure what to do, but we'll leave it run that way. And next up, we'll get Carl Dix. Let me find it.
Aloha, all of you. Thank you for inviting me. This is my first run for political office. I've been here in Hawaii for 31 years. I've been in metal fabrication. I've been out in the community. I love Hawaii. Hawaii is beautiful, strong people, but we've been led the wrong direction. And I agree with a lot of the points that the previous speakers have said. The difference with me is I don't have problems. I have an expression in my life. I don't have problems. I have decisions to make. And I'm confident, and I'll make those decisions based on the best information and the best path forward for the people of Honolulu, not for special interest, not for the special big money people, but for all the people that live here and work here, for the people that are suffering right now, this very moment while we're on this forum, people that cannot go back to work, people that want to go to work, people that sit in their cars that they've worked for. It breaks my heart to see somebody in a BMW or a Porsche or just a nice Toyota sitting in a food line, sitting in a food line because they can't go to work. They want to go to work. This is not leadership. This is not a path forward. We need direction. We need decisions. And a lot of the decisions in the past were very mismanaged. The answer seems to be for everything, raise taxes, more money, more money, more money. Stop it already, people. We need somebody to make good decisions, solid decisions, stand by those decisions, whether they be, there's going to be people hurt no matter what you do. The rich are going to get hurt because you're not going to make money. I'm for the people that work and live every single day here in Honolulu and all of the islands. And we need to restore paradise. We need to restore aloha. And we need to restore confidence in the public. We need people to be proud again. We need to unite the people, all the different races. Hawaii is the melting pot, the true melting pot of the world. We need to unite. We need to join as one people under one flag in Hawaii, under the other flag, the United States of America. And we need to move forward with strength and direction. I like to make lists, and I live with my list, and I'll yield the rest of my time in the effort of moving forward faster. Aloha, thank you all.
Thank you, Carl. Colleen, you're up. Colleen Hanabusa, let's see, unmute.
Thank you. Thank you to the Kokua Council for hosting the first forum and for your almost 50 years of advocacy for the kupuna of our state. I'd like to begin by saying a collective mahalo for all of us, to those who are on the front line. It is because of their hard work that we have the numbers that we do in Hawaii. You know, I really thought about long and hard about whether or not I'd run for public office again. After the governor's race, I wondered what were the voters really looking for. However, I decided to run. And the reason is because I've had 18 amazing years in public service. And when I think about the political journey that I've been on, you know, I'm the first woman Senate president in the history of the state of Hawaii, and the first Asian woman in the United States to lead either house in the legislature. I was fortunate enough to represent the Congressional District 1 in the Congress of the United States, and also actually served on the Heart Board, part of it as its chair. When COVID happened, it made it even clearer to me that the decision to run was a correct one. It is because as you look at this situation, we need someone who understands all levels of government, federal, state, and county. We need someone who can make those connections because it is government. Government is going to get us out of this. Remember President Obama said in reaction to this, he said that in times of crisis, good government is what matters. And he's absolutely correct. For myself, as I look at this, I look at past experience. I was Senate Vice President when 9/11 hit. I was Senate President when we had the recession. I was in Congress when government got shut down in 2013. All of those act to actually form who we are. Someone asked me, why mayor? And I said, because I believe the sitting county of Honolulu will lead the way in the recovery. The sitting county of Honolulu will also define what the new normal is because most of the people are in the sitting county of Honolulu. And I want to be the leader as we move forward. You know, we have friends out there who are suffering and they are really having a very bad time. If it wasn't for the federal government and the CARES Act 1, 2, 3, and 4, and hopefully 5, they would even have a greater hurt. But what's most important is for us to realize what is the role of government? Government is there to take care of those who need help. It is to provide for those who can't provide for themselves. And I believe that with my experience, I'm the person who can lead Honolulu in these very difficult times. So mahalo again for the opportunity to be here. And please, everyone, stay safe. Mahalo.
Thank you, Colleen. All candidates were provided a slate of 9 questions in advance. In this second rotation, each candidate will be asked to answer one question randomly selected for him or her until all candidates have had a chance to answer their own unique question. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer, starting with Kimberly Pine. Kimberly, your question is, recently there's been a trend to privatize public services or create public-private partnerships. What are your criteria for considering the privatization of services?
Well, I think the privatization of government service is okay until it takes away the job of a person that's already working for us. Privatization of government service is only good if we can find other ways to provide new and different services efficiently to the people of Honolulu. This is why I introduced the sponsorship bill in legislation, and it passed unanimously at the City Council. That would allow the zoo, for example, to accept sponsorship programs without advertising to help to support places like the zoo. And then we passed the citywide sponsorship program that would allow individuals, different businesses, and nonprofits to also assist in helping to fund city services that is not currently being provided by a person that's in that job.
Thank you.
I heard the ring.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. That was Kimberly Pine. Keith Amamiya. Let's see, can someone unmute Keith, please? Keith, your question is, how will you bring fiscal responsibility to City Hall?
Hello?
Hi, we hear you, but we don't see you, Keith.
Oh, sorry, wait. Okay.
There, got it. Got it.
Okay. I've run a large nonprofit organization when it was struggling and helped turn it around. I'm a business executive and I understand large budgets and how to run a complex organization. I've also worked closely with the government and unions throughout my career. The city has a tough responsibility to provide numerous essential services to our community. I'm not looking for opportunities to cut city services like those in the Elderly Affairs Division. Instead, there's opportunity to be more efficient in how the city spends its resources. My plan is to decrease bureaucracy and improve city processes so that city services and programs get to the people and neighborhoods that need them. This is another area where my planned Office of Community Engagement will provide the necessary feedback from the community, how the city is performing its services, and whether opportunities exist or improve.
Thank you, Keith. John Carroll, your question is this. In 3 years, by the end of 2023, which kupuna policies and programs will you have improved in the city and county, and how will you have improved with kupuna policies and programs?
Very, number one, thank you so much for all of the tremendous work that you folks have done and the amount of services that we have available for the kupuna, of which I am one. And what I will try to do is to ensure that they can continue to be funded properly, that they're monitored, and they'll move on doing the great work they've done so far.
Thank you, I apologize. Thank you, John. Chun James, you're next. Your question is, tell us of your past actions which demonstrate that you're an advocate for our kupuna and what you will do to continue to promote kupuna services. Excuse me. Chun, can you hear me?
Yes.
Chun? Chun James?
Hello?
Hi, did you hear
Yes,
my—
sorry. Yeah, I hear you. It was kind of going in and out.
Did you hear?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Uh-huh.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, yes, please. Sorry.
All right. Tell us of your past actions which demonstrate that you're an advocate for our kupuna and what you will do to continue to promote Kupuna services.
Thank you, Lila. All my civic advocacy seek to protect the general welfare of the entire public, of course, including our seniors. We need open space, we need clean parks, we need clean, safe streets. I'm especially focused on putting a fine-tooth comb in major city budgets so that we can have the funds to support and spend on what is really needed. And we must also support the families who take care of the kupuna. We also want to support the kupuna who need extra services and help and attention. I personally feel that as a society, we have the kuleana to take care of our own and to take care of each other. And I'm especially keen on the property tax cap of 20 more years. Those that live in there, this will help stabilize the housing situation for our kupuna.
Thank you, June. Tim, Garry, your question is this. How will you restore trust in the city prosecutor's office and the police department?
I've been a advocate and a critical of our public Hawaii Ethics Committee. I'm sure everybody's familiar with what was going on with our police chief and prosecutor and corporation counsel. I would strengthen that and make that so that it has some backbone. Right now it doesn't. And as far as the police department, I'd love them to be more transparent. We had 2 police officers killed over at Diamond Head in January, and we still haven't heard any report from our police commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ernest, your question is this. Please identify 3 innovations that you will promote as mayor.
So as mayor, I would like to promote us moving away and going towards a wave power for our electric, yeah? We have to harness our ocean and we should be moving towards wave power. Also, I like to move towards building a bike infrastructure throughout the whole city. One that's based on the Rotterdam projects, yeah? That they use, that'll bring our city a cleaner feel to it. And 3, I would like to bring together a new waste management program that when people are going out in the urban area, they'll go downstairs, they'll be able to put plastic into plastic containers, garbage into garbage, compost into food into food. What it does, it's going to vacuum suck everything into the city and take it all the way into a plant in a central area, which will compose all the, all the trash that we're tossing away. So there'll be no waste laying around, and we'll be able to use our waste to make it usable for us in the future.
Thank you, Ernest. Carl Dix, your question is this. Honolulu County is the largest county in Hawaii, but we are the only county that does not appropriate county funds to increase and improve senior services. What will you do to see that there's sufficient funding for senior services?
Okay, okay. One of the first things we need to do is city and county, the largest one, is we need to look in the books and we need to see, we've been paying taxes and taxes and taxes and more taxes. Where's all this money gone? First thing, before we can make intelligent decisions, we need to find out where all this money's gone in the past, and then we can start looking at how to properly fund the important projects. That's number 1. And number 2, there's some programs out there for the elderly and private elderly homes and stuff like this. That there's probably, well, I've seen abuse in the programs. The kupuna are dear to me. One of my first jobs when I was 14 years old, I was doing laundry in a nursing home. And when I was done with my work, I would go sit with the people and talk with them and hear their stories about their past. One of them was a pro football player from the Chicago Bears. And I invited him to go to my football game, and my mom took him. The elderly are important, and they will be funded. They will be cared for.
Thank you, Carl. Colleen Hanabusa, your question is this: how will you ameliorate the problem of homelessness?
Homelessness is a very difficult issue, and that's because we tend to broad brush everyone who's living on the streets or is in need of housing as homeless. That's not necessarily true. This pandemic has given us an amazing opportunity to battle homelessness. And that is, you saw all those different tents that have been put up where homeless people, because of the fear of the pandemic, have actually cooperated and gone in there. I think that when we start looking at homelessness, we have to first see what is it that will put them into shelters. And we also have to prioritize. I've always felt that the homeless situation for young people and those with children, that it's inexcusable that we don't have shelters appropriate for them. Having said that, however, I think what's really necessary now is to take the opportunity that we do have and to have them so that they know what it's like to shelter and get accustomed to that.
Thank you, Colleen. All right, Rick Blanchiardi, your question is this: how will you pay for the rail?
Well, look, that's a really important question. But honestly, how do you pay for something that you don't even know how much it costs? We don't have up-to-date and accurate information about the amount that's already been spent and how much additional funding is going to be needed. So the threshold question will be determined by the pending financial bids to complete the 4.1 mile city center segment, and then the city securing the proposed public-private partnership to build rail to Ala Moana. So I also believe that the projected ridership in a post-COVID-19 world could become much less than originally projected. So consequently, the revenues needed to operate may not materialize, which means there will be a real need for additional revenues to fill the gap. The next mayor will have to make that difficult decision, and I am ready to make that decision.
All right, now we start the third rotation. Each candidate will be provided 1 minute to select a question from the original slate of 9 questions you were advanced, or use that minute to elaborate upon your original response. Keith Amamiya, will you please start this rotation?
Can you hear me okay, Lila?
Yes, thank you.
Can I answer the question, or I will be answering the question as mayor, how will you handle the pandemic? Okay?
Okay.
All right. To handle the pandemic, we need a healthy recovery. And by that, I mean we need healthy people, a healthy economy, and a healthy environment. By healthy people, I mean that we need to make sure that everyone stays healthy and safe, make sure that the virus spread stays at a minimum, and make sure that when we fully stay open, that our workers stay safe and healthy. In terms of a healthy economy, COVID has taught us that we can't go back to the way that things were before. And it means not going back to our over-reliance on tourism. We've been talking about this problem for decades, but we finally need to actually take action to start diversifying our economy in areas of strength, such as renewable energy and agriculture. In terms of the environment, climate change is the crisis of our lifetime, and we need to immediately take steps to address it, as our very existence and those of future generations are at stake.
Thank you, Keith. John Carroll, you're next.
Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, you're a little louder.
Want to speak louder?
Yes.
What's the question?
We gave you a slate of 9 questions in advance. Answer those questions and address a question of your choice or elaborate on your original answer.
I'm so sorry, but could you repeat that again? I missed part of it.
Certainly, you were sent a slate of and you answered one of them in this last round. You can pick a new question from that set of 9 or elaborate on your written answer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Number 1 is I'm going to pick the one on homeless because that's one that's very near and dear to my heart. We've got probably something like 40,000 veterans, many of them wounded and impaired either with PTSD and so forth. There's a lot of, I ride bicycle out of Hickam and Curl. There's all kinds of housing out there, including on the floating apartment building practically. And there's no reason why those veterans should not be allowed to have access to that. They can put them there and they'll have access to the VA commissary and so forth. That can be done and I will do it.
All right, thank you, John. Chun James, you're next. Oh, we need to unmute you.
Oh, okay.
There you are.
Okay, homelessness is a big issue for me. There's no one silver bullet, but many simply don't have enough income to pay rent. You and I have seen new condos sprouting out. We must be able to use the same efficiency to build decent, affordable rentals. Even then, look at 801 South Street, Honolulu 96813. Residents had to compete with our rich friend Keith here, who bought unit 4511. And some Cotwell management people also invested in this affordable project. We must do a better job to make sure that those who really need the affordable housings get the units. I've been in real estate sector for over 30 years. I see what is going on and we must fix homelessness, yes. We must work with all entities, including ACLU, to take our homeless off the public places. And we must quickly build truly affordable rentals to help homelessness. And we must be able to stop those investment competitors who are fighting for our people who really need it.
Thank you, Chun. Next up is Tim Garry.
Hello.
Hi, you're up.
Yes, I'd like to speak about senior housing. There was a project that started a couple years ago on School Street on the Public Housing Authority office land. I've been a strong proponent working with Hakeem on that, putting my insights into what would make it a one-stop shop for seniors. My father had Alzheimer's. He was in the premier Alzheimer's home in California called the John Douglas French Center. They worked in conjunction with UC Irvine to bring about a cure and treatments. And some of the residents of that, the John Douglas Center, they were participants. So I would encourage and spend a lot more money on senior housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Ernest Cavallo, you're up next. Oh, need to unmute you.
There we go.
Thank you.
So homelessness is a very dear issue to me, and as a veteran, it really means a lot. So first of all, I think the city and county of Honolulu needs to work with the lieutenant governor's office and to find out what we're duplicating and get rid of the duplications, and let's come together with an overall master plan. We also need to get together with the VA and US Vets to see what programs they've done right to do this, to get the veterans off, and we can get this going. We also need to build rehabilitation centers for our mentally ill and our drug addicted people. Without these good facilities, we can never move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernest. Carl Dix, you're up next.
Yes, I'd like to go to the question, how would I restore trust in the city prosecutor and the police department? I believe that we become a community of selective law enforcement. We only enforce laws of convenience. We need to go back to the basics, and we need to start enforcing each and every law equally and to the letter of the law, and stop letting criminals out after we're just spinning our wheels. We're running in a cage. We got rotating door to our prisons, and that's not going to fix anything. It's going to continue to make our society worse and more unstable. And we need to stop doing things the way that we are. We need to bring accountability to the prosecutors, the judicial system, and the police department. And that's a great place to start.
Thank you, Carl. Colleen Hanabusa, you're up next.
Thank you. I'd like to address the first question. And whenever I see a question that talks about 3 years and what do you plan to do, I went back and looked at exactly what is it that the city has done or has not done on this amazing initiative by the World Health Organization that permits the city and county of Honolulu to be an age-friendly city network. And that had 6 domains, and it showed everything from trees to public restrooms to transportation and so forth. So what I'd like to see in 3 years is emphasis placed on a program like that. There is nothing that infuriates me more than to have money spent, I think it was $350,000, to do this study, to have people give up their time, put input, and nothing comes of it. So I would like to see, if I'm mayor, that program will have some oomph and money behind it. We will be almost 30% over 60 by the year 2030. We have to create a city that people can live in, people want to be a part of, that's age-friendly, young to old. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colleen. Rick Blanchiardi, you're up next. Oh,
I always feel like I'm in a game of Jeopardy, so I'll go for double Jeopardy here on bringing fiscal responsibility to City Hall. And I would start by applying the many lessons I've learned in senior management positions throughout my career. And one of the most direct and quickest ways to get a handle on an organization's finances is to simply start by asking the question, why? You know, it's always been surprising to me how that simple little question often lacks a rational answer. We also obviously have to eliminate waste on every level and in every way. And I think a good example is that each year we recertify seniors who qualify for free meals or other worthwhile programs. Now, the average age of recipients for Hawaii's Meals on Wheels is 86. Why not recertify every 2 years? This would cut workload in half, freeing staff to focus on attracting more federal funds and developing creative partnerships. So there are a lot of tough decisions facing the next mayor, and my life's work leading large and complex organizations has uniquely prepared me for this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Kimberly Pine, you're up next.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to agree with Colleen that I am extremely frustrated that the hard work of the City Council and the AARP and hundreds of volunteers who worked on making Oahu an age-friendly city. And that means that we are redesigning everything in the future about our city. We're redesigning roads to make it easier for our seniors to drive, our walkways, our parks, and even our public spaces. That will be something that I will do on day one and make sure that we implement the hard work of the City Council. The second thing that I would do was completely overhaul the handicap system to make sure that you never are waiting 3 or 4 hours again just for a ride from the doctor back home. And finally, my third idea will be my new idea that I will be revealing very soon. I have been fortunate as a zoning and housing chair to pass amazing legislation that for the first time provides thousands and thousands of affordable housing for free. And my new idea will provide affordable housing for seniors combined with affordable health care.
Thank you, Kimberly. All right. This fourth rotation is the first in a series of rotations. Each candidate, starting with John Carroll, has 1 minute to answer this question. So all candidates will be answering this question. What is your plan to support the local resident community during times of natural disaster and pandemic over the needs of tourism? John Carroll, please start.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a wonderful question. The first thing that I'm going to do is to file a class action on behalf of all the citizens of the county of Honolulu, on basically to eliminate the Jones Act shipping restrictions, which have totally impaired and really violated our whole economy here. The second thing that I intend to do, and the net effect of that will be to open shipping worldwide. The next thing that I intend to do with respect to that same issue is to be pushing worldwide, biking for our entire state, and also for a tour to Hawaii with bikes, which would be about a 3-day tour going up Mauna Kea in the winter, Mauna Loa in the winter, and then around the Hamakua coast. That would be it would beat out the Tour de France and bringing people from around the world. And the other thing that I intend to do immediately, probably 2 days after I'm mayor, is to have an injunction to do what King Ryan is just talking about, to make up for all of the lousy things that have happened with respect to the rail. We're going to get a preliminary injunction to stop all action, we'll stop all disbursement, and get a
Thank you very much. Chun James, you're up next.
So here and something happened, we would definitely take a good care of them, just as we would anybody else. But having said that, I'm a mother of 4 Eagle Scouts. So being prepared is a big thing for us. We're always teaching that. I would say that we need to have food storage. We need to have better food storage, and also all the emergency equipment and materials that we need. We need to continue to work with communities out there, and they have to be self-sustained with the community so that they can help each other and protect each other. And certainly we must also make sure that all our emergency entities have it.
All right. Thank you, Chun. Tim Garry, you're up next. Oh.
We need to expand our rainy day fund and have enough money to sustain ourselves in a crisis, in a situation. We need to downside our tourism also. Local people have been complaining last year, 10 million visitors. That's too many. We need to look at ideas on how to restrict that and diversify our incomes. We need to bring in outside companies that don't rely on tourism, so that when something happens like a hurricane or another pandemic, that we have something that we can fall back on. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Ernest Cavallo, you're next. Oh, hold on. We need to unmute you. All right, Ernest, I'm sorry.
All right, so there should always be an emergency plan, not just a 5-year plan, but we need to look down the road 100 years from now, because as you see, we had a pandemic almost 100 years ago, and no one is prepared for today. But food sustainability is one of the most important things in these islands. We should be producing all our food on these islands, at least 90% of the food, and being able to store it here. We must rely on food sustainability. We must stop relying upon tourism, and we must change the way people think, and we must re-educate our people into jobs that they can be successful in, that will not rely upon the tourism industry. Tourism will no longer succeed in Hawaii, and it's a proven fact after what it's already done. So these are things that we need to look at to prepare for a future pandemic or any other emergency.
Thank you, Ernest. Excuse me. Carl Dix, you're up next.
Thank you for that question. I have training in this field. I'm a former EMT, firefighter 1, rescue squad, and I've seen tornadoes. I've seen hurricanes. I've been trained to deal with pandemics. I have training in all of this. We need to make sure we have food, water, and in order to do that, we need to bring back farming. We need to focus on farming. We need to focus on rebuilding our herds of livestock and being self-sufficient. We need to make sure that we have adequate fuel supplies and different fuel sources, alternate energy sources, and everything that we need to survive any kind of a pandemic or natural disaster. I have training in this. I'm trained to run into a burning building when everybody else is running out.
Thank you, Carl. Excuse me. Colleen Hanabusa, you're up next.
Thank you. You know, the one thing that the COVID-19 has shown us is exactly what we're able to do in the event of a pandemic. One of the things that no one has mentioned is the fact that what makes Hawaii unique is the fact that we are islands. And because we are islands, we can protect our people first, because that is what happened with this pandemic. Because we are an island, we're able to keep tourists out, and as a result of that, or keep them basically sheltering in for 14 days, and we're able to make those kinds of difficult decisions. I think that what we must always keep focus on, whether you're the mayor or whoever you may be in government, is that people matter first, and our people matter first. As long as we keep that focus, we will be able to survive any natural disaster or any pandemic.
Thank you, Colleen. Rick Blanchiardi, you're up next.
Well, look, first thing I wouldn't want to villainize tourists who might be here at the time of an outbreak, as what just happened. But I do absolutely agree about taking care of our local people. And I think, regrettably, since we're still in the midst of what's going on, you know, this is a great opportunity to look at lessons learned, you know, what was worked well and what hasn't. And, you know, unfortunately, we've had a great success in taking care of the health of our people. So it's about collaboration and forming partnerships and understanding, you know, what we need to do and really putting some time into it, because this may not be the last time. We face climate change issues that could just as well impact us, like a pandemic. So this is a great opportunity to really get back to the drawing boards and really examine where our real needs are.
Thank you, Rick. Kimberly Pine, you're up next.
Thank you very much. Was a city council member during this pandemic and crisis before us. There are 3 things that I made sure that our government did. 1, made sure that people were fed, that they were safe, and that they kept being housed. These are the 3 pillars that I've pushed Mayor Caldwell to do, to spend the federal monies to make sure those 3 things are done. As the chair of the Economic Development Tourism Committee about a year and a half ago, I said we are at risk because we have put too much emphasis on tourism as our economic driver. In the 1980s, with inflation, we brought in $18 billion from tourism, we discovered through our research. But today, with twice the tourists, we bring in $17 billion. And if you think you are paying more for city services than you did in the 80s, it's because you are. We are paying more for tourists to come to visit our island. And it is why, as the Economic Development Chair, I called for new economies to invest in farmers, innovators who want to keep their businesses here, to feed our families, to sustain us, and keep our economy going for many, many years to come. We're not just going to survive this crisis, we will thrive.
Thank you, Kimberly. Keith Amamiya, you're next. Oh, just one moment, Keith. Doug, do you have them? Oh.
I was on mute, sorry, my fault. Ready, Lila?
Yes, please, thank you.
Okay. Well, it goes without saying that we need to prioritize for Oahu residents versus out-of-state residents, time in and time out. In terms of our people, I said it in my previous answer, we need to ensure their health. And that means we need to make sure that the virus spread stays at a minimum. We need to make sure that when we fully do open, that our workers are taken care of and that their health and safety is ensured. That involves constant testing and contact tracing. In terms of food security, we need to redouble our efforts to improve and grow our local agricultural economy. There are many success stories out there, and they've proven to be a robust supply of food to our local residents during this pandemic. In terms of housing, we need to redouble our efforts in that as well. We're 22,000 units short on Oahu, and having said that, I was the first and I believe the only candidate who has a comprehensive housing plan called Housing for All. It focuses on Oahu residents, it focuses on stopping the activities that decrease our housing inventory, and it stimulates the private sector to build more housing.
Thank you, Keith. This fifth rotation gives each candidate, starting with Chun James, 1 minute to answer this question. The current mayor focused upon infrastructure improvements. However, our roads, water and sewer systems, and public transportation are still problematic. How will you prioritize infrastructure investments?
Infrastructure is definitely a huge issue. In my opinion, if we are pouring millions of dollars into, for example, fixing the road, and if the contractors have fixed the road and just after a rainfall, we have potholes again, something is wrong. We should be able to expect quality work with a warranty. I would expect a warranty from those contractors who have been paid millions and millions of dollars, so that after it rains, there will be no potholes. And if there are potholes, they will have to come at their own expense to fix it. And there's so many infrastructure that we can talk about. Every day on our side of the island, things are just blowing apart. We have water pipes and all this. So yes, we must intelligently look through it all and make sure we get it right.
Thank you, Chun. Tim Garry, you're next. Oh, let's see.
Tim's got to.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, our infrastructure, isn't it convenient that the roads are falling apart right when Kirk Caldwell's leaving? Not very good quality for what we were paying for. Also, one of my priorities would be to upgrade our sewage system. We're the only state, county in the United States that pumps sewage into the ocean 1.5 miles off of Sand Island. And I think that should, even though we're in mitigation, I think that we should spend the money and be responsible and fix that instead of like the rail or something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ernest Cavallo, you're next.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so infrastructure is a very big problem in Honolulu. So I think that this is the one time that private-public investment would work, because we're bringing in a private company to do such a great work in rebuilding our infrastructure and taking less money and finances away from our city. But in this case, if you look at the Europeans and what they're doing with their private public system, P3s as they call it, infrastructure is the one that actually works. And I think we need to look into this way of doing business and rebuilding our infrastructure.
Thank you, Ernest. Carl Dix, you're up, please.
Thank you. I have experience in this also. I've been in 31 years in the construction here in Honolulu. I've been doing metal fabrication in the metals division, I've seen a lot of the other divisions, and it's my belief that if you're going to ever fix a problem, go to the beginning. Why do we have this problem? Because bad decisions were being made, bad specifications, people not being held accountable, people in positions that are not qualified to be in those positions. We need to go to the beginning of the Department of Planning and Permitting. We need to go to DAGs, and we need to get people accountable and get people that are qualified to specify the correct products, the correct methods, and the newest and the most efficient way to get our projects started and done and completed on time. Start at the beginning.
Thank you, Carl. Colleen Hanabusa, you're up next.
Thank you. You know, this is an issue of political will, and it is not only something that is local, it is also something that is national. We are all looking at, okay, how do we redo infrastructure? What is it that we need to do? And it really is a matter of political will, which I hope this pandemic will force us to really reconsider as to what our priorities are. When you think about the major infrastructure projects throughout the United States, everyone points back to the Great Depression. And it was after that we started to do that. I think we're having a very similar kind of issue. We must prioritize. We must also look for funding, because a lot of this, they will come back and say, we don't have the money to do it. That's not true. I believe that we will have the money. I believe that the Congress of the United States will fund infrastructure as they've had in the past. Nancy Pelosi is somebody who truly believes in infrastructure.
Thank you, Colleen. Rick Blangiardi, you're up next. Oh, Rick. There.
Okay?
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
sorry. Okay, I was starting to say, I actually like Colleen's answer, much of what she said. And I agree, about political will. I'll say this, the term infrastructure is just another word for how we're taking care of our people and our standard of living. So, on my opening day, I said, and we talked earlier about balancing the city budget. I said, you can tell a lot, there's an old adage that you can tell a lot about someone and who they write their checks to. So as a matter of priority, given the circumstances and our quality of life, our standard of living, if you will, we actually owe that to the people who live here, who work hard, and pay their taxes. So we really have to examine that. And I think it's going to take courage to do that. We're going to have to do some things differently than we've done before, but that's what this is about going forward. We've got to take better care of our people.
Thank you, Rick. Kimberly Pine, it's your turn.
Thank you. Can you just clarify the question? Is it just for sewer and water?
No, it was just infrastructure. Roads, water, sewer, public transportation.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just want to let everyone that's on the panel know that the City Council, when I first got on the City Council, we already addressed this issue. We found the funding mechanisms for both sewer and water, and we are already going through a complete overhaul of both our sewer and our water systems because they have been ignored for decades. We're prioritizing which sewer and water systems that we are rebuilding based on age, based on feedback of certain breaks. Sometimes when there's certain pipes that are next to each other, sometimes electrical current happens if they're too close to each other, and that causes a pipe to age faster than normal. In terms of roads, I want to let everyone know that this is an area that I feel that we can have great improvement on. Other cities and countries are already exploring better road chemicals and products that would allow our road repaving projects to have an effect of lasting a lot longer. We are an island state, and so when you have the salt mixed with the air and the heat, it is problematic, but I believe we're very close to finding the product that's perfect for Hawaii to save all of you money on your.
Thank you, Kimberly. Keith Amamiel, you're up.
Okay, I learned to unmute ahead of time. So anyway, the way I look at it is not a matter of how we can afford it, it's how can we afford not to. The longer we kick the can down the road, the more expensive it's going to be. And to be sure, I'm frustrated like everyone else with the high cost of infrastructure and the poor quality of infrastructure. But some of my ways to solve that problem are, number one, Let's look at the CARES Act and hope we get stimulus money for infrastructure improvements. We need to, of course, build infrastructure more efficiently. Let's use best practices and make sure that we're using best practices. And of course, we need to hold people accountable if the work isn't done well. But another reason that we need to have good infrastructure in the city is that's the only way that we can ensure that we have an increase in our affordable housing shortage. Key infrastructure is a necessary component before we can even begin to build more affordable housing on Oahu.
Thank you, Keith. John Carroll, it's your turn.
As I mentioned earlier, I will be filing class action on the rail, and the main thing that will come about is an injunction which will stop all disbursements with respect to the rail. It will also call for a forensic audit and forensic investigation so that we know exactly where we have been and where we can go. And when that is done, then we can really determine what money we have left to work on our infrastructure. One of the reasons that I'm running is because we asked the council and the mayor over the past 3 or 4 years to get a forensic audit done and find out where they really are. The Hart Board had an executive meeting in which they asked to have a private meeting on the basis of the need to discuss immunity and liability. So that Hart Board has been a total failure. The council has been a total failure, as has the mayor. And also I was going to work that they were talking about the sewers and the water system and the highways. Those are all #1 priorities. Frank Foster was a good friend of mine. I go around with him, and I will be, as mayor, working at the same level that he did. And again, mahalo.
Thank you, John. The 6th rotation gives each candidate 1 minute to answer this question. And this is going to be our last question because we're actually going over time. So, tell us about a time you had to lead one or more organizations to work collaboratively at a time of crisis. Let's start with Tim Garry.
Yeah, there's actually 2 crises that I was heavily involved in. One was the Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles. I worked for a supermarket chain, and the earthquake hit at 4:35 in the morning. After we secured everybody out of the store, we secured the perimeter, and by 11:30 that morning, we had the store up and available to the public. Granted, we didn't have any electricity, so we innovated and we used grease pencils to mark the prices on the items, the cans, the bags, whatever. And the registers didn't work, so we used calculators. And of course, we could only do cash only. But we got commended by the mayor for opening up and delivering much needed food to the citizens in less than 8 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Ernest Cavallo, you're next. Oh, let's see. Ernest, we can't hear you.
You gotta unmute.
Ernest, can you there you are.
So I've never had to leave any organizations that I was in to ever have to help anyone. The first biggest disaster for me would have been Hurricane Eva here in Honolulu, yeah? So as Hurricane Eva came, we were all asked, and we're housing boys, you know, we're all asked to come out to Honolulu Harbor to help save the Calypso, yeah? Not the Calypso, but forget the name of this. But we all came out there to save her. And that was an exciting thing. Other than that, the biggest things that I have had to do was when I was in the Air Force, getting prepared and helping people through drills for wartime in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. Yeah, that was it.
All right, thank you, Ernest. Carl Dix, you're up next.
Yes, I've been trained in emergency management, and to me, leaving an organization, I'm not sure if that applies, but my priority is to save life. And I'm trained to do that. Every life is important and very important. Important that you follow certain protocols, certain procedures, adequate training, and adequate actions at appropriate times to handle every situation, every circumstance, whether it be CPR or control of bleeding or the surrounding areas, or secure the location or secure the scene, whether it be provide security or whatever action is necessary in every emergency situation. Physical life is my priority.
Thank you, Carl. Colleen Hanabusa, you're up next.
Thank you. If I'm hearing this question correctly, you're saying to leave one or more organizations or to lead one or more organizations?
In the past, when have you done that in the past?
Leave or lead?
Lead.
Lead.
Right.
Thank you. So the issue when we talk about leading organizations, to me, when I was Senate President, I was head of that organization. And when I was in the Congress of the United States, I was also part of that organization. So one of the things in 2013, one of the major issues that Hawaii faced was whether or not Pearl Harbor was shut down, and whether or not the apprentices will be permitted to continue. So what I did was I got on the call. My staff was all furloughed. I got on the call myself and said and worked with the federal government, the Navy at that time, to ensure that Pearl Harbor could continue with the training of its apprentices. That to me was something that helped Pearl Harbor succeed, and we have a great apprenticeship program there. In addition to that, when I was Senate President, what we did was we collaborated on things after when we had the Great Recession, how to kickstart the economy. And what we did there was shovel-ready projects. That's why you have the Cancer Research Center, you have the UH West Oahu, and of course, the College of Hawaiian Language at UHU.
Thank you, Colleen. Rick Blanchiardi, you're up next. Oh, on Rick's, let's see, we need to.
I'm here, I'm okay?
Good.
All right, Lila, sorry. Look, I just left a business where each and every day of my life and night was on call, pretty much 24/7, from the standpoint of never knowing when a disaster might occur, and always having to be ready internally with our team and what we did, and then our interface in the community on the things that we work with the people in our outreach. And that was true across all the islands in our state, but especially here in Honolulu. So, you know, I take a lot of pride in the ability that what we did with Hawaii News Now, what that meant for digital technology, the information we disseminated, and many, many times that was life-saving information during the times of crisis. So organizing, working under pressure, under stress, never knowing what's going to happen next, that's been my life.
All right, thank you, Rick. Kimberly Pine, you're up.
Thank you very much. I was very proud to lead the innovative affordable housing package that will allow us to end our shortage of affordable housing on Oahu forever. When I first got on the council, we made affordable housing a priority. And we were given a package to the city council that said that we would have more affordable housing if we passed these bills. But we discovered that it actually would stop the construction industry and not build a single unit. So I had to lead people who are very different sides of the issue, over 100 stakeholders, from people that were fighting for affordable housing through their nonprofits or their church, or builders who just wanted to keep their bottom line and not go out of business. Those were some of the intense, most divisive meetings I have ever been in, where people were yelling at each other and people said, Kim, you can't pass this bill. But in the end, we passed a bill that would solve our affordable housing crisis forever. And I'm very proud that my 5-year-old daughter, when she is an adult one day, will have a house one day in Hawaii.
Thank you, Kimberly. Keith Amamiya, you're up.
Okay, I'm unmuted. All right, as I briefly mentioned in my opening statement, when I was the head of the Hawaii High School Athletic Association about 10 years ago, the state was in a similar budget crisis and the legislature instituted Furlough Fridays. At that time, they threatened to cut public high school sports. I took action and rallied communities from across the state to raise enough funds to save these athletic programs. It was a gratifying experience in that people from Waianae to Hawaii Kai, from Hanapepe to Ka'u, private schools, public schools, big schools, small schools, we all rallied together to come together and raise enough money to save high school sports. It's a shining example of what I firmly believe in. If we work hard, work together, stay committed, we can do anything and we can get out of any crisis, including this pandemic.
Thank you, Keith. John Carroll, you're up.
I got a phone call from Rick saying that John lost connectivity, so he might not be here to answer the question, but I think since this is the last question anyway.
All right. So since John is not with us, is Chun James. Chun, I don't see you. Did we lose Chun also?
Chun's there. Just need to unmute. Chun, there you go.
I can hear you.
Oh, good. All right, it's your turn.
So I think you were asking about emergency crisis. And sometimes I feel like as a mother of 5 and a working mom and a whole 1,000 community things to do, sometimes it feels like a crisis in and of itself. But one thing I want to say, and I have emphasized it throughout this COVID-19 episode, is that whenever there is a crisis, whatever it is, we are always blessed to see so many people show up. In this COVID-19 crisis, we have been so fortunate and it's so heartwarming to see so many people step up who invent and making masks and sharing food and sharing ideas and giving whatever they have. So I'm so confident that whatever crisis that we have, that we will do well because we can work together. And one of my great admirers is John Teixeira. He's the civil defense guy, and he's always good and he's always pragmatic and he's always got the common sense. And I promise that I will not forget the password.
Thanks, Chun. All right. Thank you, candidates. Because we're running actually we ran overtime. Each candidate will provide a closing statement of up to 1 minute, starting with Ernest Cavallo. There you are. So Ernest, if you can give us a closing statement, please.
So I want to thank everyone for being here, and I want to thank you all for bringing us all together in this different type of format that none of us are really used to, because we're really used to being on the streets, door knocking, all that. But I want to take the time to thank the people for coming and for listening to us. And I would like to say to the people for Hawaii, we need you to go out there and vote. No matter who you vote for, we need you to go out to vote. And to the Hawaiian community out there that does not go out and vote, I want to ask you to go out and vote and to remember that it was Queen Liliuokalani and Crown Princess Kailani who fought for the right of every Hawaiian national to have the right to vote in a new America, so that your vote will make a change in the way we live today. So please go out and vote, no matter who you vote for. Everyone over here is a good candidate. Thank you all. Love you all. Good night.
Thank you, Ernest. Carl Dix, your closing statement, please.
I want to thank you all for inviting me to this forum. It's a wonderful forum with a lot of wonderful people, all trying to make a difference for Hawaii. Some people have been involved in community groups and so on and so forth. We're facing new challenges that we've never ever faced in the past, or maybe we'll never face again, who knows. But we need some new ideas, we need some new people, we need some new faces. And I agree with Ernest, vote people, get registered to vote. We need to vote, we need to be a part of this. If we all group together, if we all chip in, and just one hand at a time, we can do this together. Let's restore paradise. Aloha.
Thank you, Carl. Colleen Hanabusa, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. Actually, what I'd like to do is I'd like to apologize to the Kupuna and to thank Kokua, the council, for not giving up on the advocacy. The reason is because what we've tended to do, government and others, is we've tended not to recognize that we're all getting there. And like I said, the statistics are that by the year 2030, about 30% will be over 60 years of age. What we need to do is to recognize that when we look at the future of the city and county of Honolulu and who your mayor is, you need someone who really recognizes the fact that the future is to take care of everyone. And that we do need an age-friendly city, and we do need a city that recognizes that the Kupuna has made great contributions. I think it's unfortunate that we tend to forget that. But for them and but for their sacrifices, we would not be where we are. And but for them, especially someone like me, I would not be able to serve in public office like I have. It is through them and because of them, because of the people, that I am who I am.
Thank you, Colleen. All right, Rick Bangiardi, your closing statement, please.
I want to thank the Kokua Council and the other candidates for making this afternoon possible. Just want to say that it's about you is not just our campaign theme. It speaks directly to my strong belief about leadership responsibility and why I decided to run for mayor. Now, my entire adult life has been dedicated to taking care of my family while providing for my employees and various stakeholders. And what has always been consistent is putting other people first. At best, we now face unprecedented uncertainty about our future. Not a comforting feeling at any age, but especially for our seniors. So I believe a society is judged by how we take care of our most vulnerable. My love for Hawaii and her people has been evident throughout my entire career. I have the business and the leadership experience necessary to be your next mayor. But more importantly, I have the heart to lead us through the tough times ahead because it's about you.
Thank you, Rick. Kimberly Pine, your closing statement, please.
I want to thank the Kokua Council and my fellow candidates for being here today. You know, this is a tough job. And I hate to say, as much as I love my fellow candidates, this is not a business. This is not state government, and it's certainly not Congress. This is one of the hardest jobs and government platforms that you will ever be in. This is the job that the person during a pandemic needs to be able to do on day one. I have seen things during this crisis I never imagined I would see in America. Seeing people hungry and starving, fighting people from getting evicted, people who've lost their jobs and have lost hopes. I have been fighting for you for a very long time. I have never given up on you. I promoted policies that will bring billions of dollars in a new economy to Hawaii, a new economy that will feed our families and will save our planet. And most importantly, will keep all of you safe for many years to come. I love all of you. Thank you so much for this immigrant grandkid to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Keith Amamiya, your closing statement, please. Keith, are you there?
Yeah, I just unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you, but that's fine.
No, that's not good. Wait. Sorry.
That's all right.
Got it? Okay. Ready. This may be a novel concept in politics today, but I'm running for mayor because I care deeply about our community. And I want to see everyone succeed and have a good quality of life. I want a city where you can go from one place to another without fighting for traffic, where you can take your family to a park or beach that's clean and free of homelessness, and where you don't have to constantly worry about the high cost of living and making ends meet. Ask anyone who knows me, and I hope that they'll tell you that my entire career has been based upon trust and integrity, selflessness, and the ability to bring people together from all walks of life to find solutions to problems. As your mayor, I'll do that and more, and I humbly ask for your support. Mahalo.
Thank you, Keith. All right, June James, your closing statement, please.
Everybody, so we have spent your valuable time telling you how wonderful and how qualified we are to be your main neighbor and your mayor. But please go one step further and check out the record of each candidate, the company they keep, and who is donating to them. We do not accept any donations from lobbies and PACs. We don't owe anybody any favors, and we can focus on our residents first. We are the very clear alternative to the good old boy network. I'm running for mayor because I know we need to take the government back and make it work for us, the ordinary people. We don't have hundreds and thousands of dollars to pay for expensive ads and fanfare. So please join me every Sunday, channel 54 at 4 p.m. We cannot have change if we continue to vote the same old insiders in. And one note, could you guys please Google Bob Walker? He left home about 11 days ago, and we still are looking for him. Aloha again, and everybody, love you all.
Thank you, June. Tim Garry, can you provide us your closing statement, please? Tim Garry, you there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
When I think of the Kokua Council, I think of Susie Chun Oakland. I had many conversations with her about senior needs, years of conversations. And she was kind of my inspiration about how to deal with our seniors. Also, I urge everybody to register to vote. We have a very poor record on registered voters. This election is going to be mail-in voting. I don't know about you, but I'm a little suspicious. I got 5 registered to vote things at my house of people that don't live here and haven't lived here for a long time. We need to purge that system. Also, I need, when it is available, to check out the campaign contributions to each candidate. And I urge the media to be fair to everybody running for mayor. Thank you for your forum. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Candidates and friends, thank you for being with us today. Again, as a reminder, we're all voting by mail this year. Traditional polling places will not be opened. Remember to return your reply card to the office of the city clerk, or go online to olvr.hawaii.gov. You should receive your primary election ballot on or about July 21st, and it must be received no later than August 8th. For more information, please go online to the City and County of Honolulu's Election Division. We hope that you will join us at Kokua Council to visualize what is possible when we collaborate to improve laws, policies, and practices impacting our community. Thank you very much. E malama pono, aloha. Candidates, if you'll please stay with us, and then we'll let everybody else go.
Thank you. Good job. We enjoyed it. Thank you.
Irene.
Bye. Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention, even though it didn't go to our Kokua Council's Facebook Live page, we did make a video of it, and that will be posted to our YouTube page probably later today or tomorrow. Just wanted to let everyone know, and we'll let everyone on the mailing list know about that too.
Okay, yeah, and we're sorry. We don't know what happened. Well, at least I don't know what happened with the Facebook. But thank you very much. And
I learned during COVID, you just got to go with the flow. Nothing really works at all.
Well, this was a fun experiment. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a little bit about how to use.
It was great.
Yes. Thank you.
Great job, Lila. Great job.
Great job,
you.
everybody. Thanks for joining us. That was wonderful.
Thank
Lila
you.
and Doug, can I talk to you
Thank you.
afterwards?
Bye-bye.
Lila and Doug,
Sure.
thank you.